Hi, it's Kirsty from Kirsty Car Strategy and the channel Strategy and Some. I am back with a brand new video this week all about corporate. So if you're corporate curious, this is the channel that you're going to want to stay and watch throughout 2025. So hit the like and subscribe now and you will get the reminders of when all the new content drops. So question for you. Do you think that your business is too small to work with a corporate brand or SME client? Be honest, go on. There's no right or wrong answer. Although if you did say that you are too small, I want to try and change your opinion. So watch this video and find out exactly why corporates love working with small businesses. So corporates then they're always after small businesses. And the reason being, well, there isn't one reason. There's multiple reasons why corporates would want to work with small businesses. But today I am going to go through 5 reasons with you and give you some insights into the ways that the corporate mind works. We all know as a small business that the way that corporate works is very different to when we are working with a fellow small business, for example. So if you're one-to-one coaching another small business owner, or if you're one-to-one consulting another small business owner, it's a very different process. The whole process is much shorter. There's less red tape. It's more conversational. And a lot of the times it becomes quite bespoke, and that's absolutely fine. But it is slightly different when we start working with SMEs and brands. And the reason being is because there's more than one person ever involved in that conversation of you're supplying that service, or who's signing the budget off, or who's project managing it, which departments are going to be involved, who sits on the steering committee, how important is it to the overall objectives of the business, etc., etc., etc. So depending on what it is that you're supplying into that corporate, and depending on the cost level of that and the investment level, depending on the complexity, then it will have different layers that it's got to go through within corporate. But do not let any of that put you off, because corporates need help. If you think about it, corporates are huge businesses, but they don't have departments that cover absolutely everything in the world that they may need in order for them to deliver their product or service out to their consumer base or their client base. That just isn't how it works. So they're always looking to fill those pockets or those gaps with outside expertise. And that's where you and your business and your services and your creative services could well come in. So one of the reasons that corporates like small businesses is because small businesses are creative problem solvers. We don't stick within a rigid kind of framework of how we have to move through problems and who has to sign it off. And, we're not encumbered with the same level of scrutiny and rigor that a corporate brand or SME client would be. So corporates love the fact that we can get really creative really quickly and become solely solution focused, because we don't have to take on all of that baggage that the corporate has, that they've got to sit around a table and get 20 people to agree. And they love creative solutions. So when you're talking to them, or you're pitching to them, or you're sending any kind of collateral emails or whatever, we hear about it all the time in terms of in our messaging with our what I'm going to use the phrase one-to-one. So our fellow small business owners, we're always told to build a story, tell a story, and it's the same for corporates. However, whereas we're told or taught, or the approach is, the transformation statement for a smaller business owner, sometimes for a corporate, it's cold, hard facts. So they're okay with the storytelling, but what matters to them is the results. So yes, it's transformational in one way, but it has to be super tangible. So tell the story, but there has to be something that's tangible at the end of it for a corporate to be able to sort of grab onto and think, how would this play out for me? How would this play out in my specific circumstances? or with this specific need or problem. The second thing is corporates love agility. They don't want to really get somebody else on board that's got the same amount of red tape and rigor that they've got, because it's not providing them what they need, which is somebody who can get off the blocks quickly and move and get that service in, get things up and running, get that problem solved, get that creative brilliance in there, get that training in, that workshop in, bring in those experts that's going to make a difference to the people inside their business, or the product inside their business, or any other of the goals or objectives that a corporate's got. So you can move fast, like show them how agile you are and show them how you can adapt. That's one thing that we have to our advantage as smaller businesses. We get to choose, right? Because most of us are the directors and the owners of our businesses. So we get the final say in how quick or agile we want to be, and where we can flex and where we're prepared to flex. Now, I'm not saying be a walkover, because that absolutely isn't what I'm asking you to do. But I am saying where you can be agile, demonstrate that, because corporates love that, because it's something that really they're not able to do as much as they would love to. They just can't. The third thing is the personal touch. Now, some people will say to you that corporates aren't really interested in the people, and I think that's a little bit harsh. It's more that corporates are definitely interested in people, but the culture and the way that they've grown and developed doesn't sometimes allow them the grace and the space to have that sort of personality level or that personal level. So when a supplier brings that in and they create a really good relationship with their stakeholder, and it becomes a joy to talk to that supplier and engage with that supplier, that quickly becomes known around the business that XY supplier is really good to deal with. They're very responsive, they're very open to conversation, they will help when we call them, and building that relationship and having that personal touch really beats the facelessness. We could go on, we could all go on the Yellow Pages and find a business that suits the need that we've got. But corporates, when they're spending money, they do want to know who they're spending it with. They do want to know the person behind the small business. So you can afford to be much more personal about it. But I would say you may not get the same level of personal touch back, but that doesn't mean it's not recognised by the people within that business. They just do not have the time, maybe, at that initial point to start building those relationships. But that will absolutely come, because when we start to talk about key people of influence within a corporate, I'm going to touch on that much, much more. Number 4 then for me, fresh perspective. So again, within a corporate, because there's a cycle of the way things are done. So if it's a product business, they've got a product cycle. They'll have a marketing cycle that runs alongside that. If it's engineering, if it's aerospace, they've got really long cycles of projects, etc. Like for aerospace, for example, projects can be going on for 20, 30 years. That is how long some of that sort of ingenuity and engineering and all of that stuff actually takes for things to come to fruition. So what they like is fresh perspectives, because they're golden to them. So if you have a fresh perspective on something, and don't forget, this is where you play your advantage, because as a small business owner, you will be in a niche of things that you do, but you will work with people and other business owners and fellow peers, small businesses, and maybe you've ventured into brands and SMEs, etc. You will have worked across industries, which makes your knowledge invaluable. And that's why I say it's a golden nugget, because they don't have access to that. They don't have access to other industries. Yes, again, they can go and do the research and stuff. But if you've introduced something in another industry and it's been a bit more cutting edge, or it's been a bit more out there, or it's been a bit, that's not very corporate, and it's really worked and really landed well, they're going to want to know that. So use that to your advantage. Don't go in there with the same old that you 20 of you in a line could come up with the same idea. This is where you can use your creativity and your ingenuity, and you can go and stand out, because you'll be memorable Obviously, I caveat that with make sure it's memorable for the right reasons and that you're actually solving a problem or a need that they've got. But don't be afraid to be bold, be brave and stand out. That's another thing that I see quite a lot is small businesses try and change the way that they present themselves or change the personality of the people going in, or they'll pick specific people to go in and do the pitch, knowing full well that they won't be the people working on the actual project because they think they're more of a fit. Corporates have got 500 people who are practically the same people because they're there because they've got aligned visions and values and all of that. They don't want the same. They need something different. They've got a gap to fill. So you can absolutely afford to stand out and definitely offer those fresh perspectives. Don't be afraid to share what you know and what you've seen, because as a person that's sat on the other side of the table buying your services, I would always be interested in stuff that's working in other industries that we just might not have seen because we don't have access to. And then the fifth and final one for today, and I've touched on this already, with corporates, it's the results that really matter. They're not interested in your resume. Honestly, like no one's going to sit there and go, tell me about a time when you did X, Y, and Z. It's not competency based procurement. It's not competency based contracting. There's no like situation, task, I can't even remember, action, result. Nobody's going to sit and ask you that. They're going to talk to you about, okay, how long have you been in operation? Who are the other people that you've worked with? What kind of projects or campaigns or trainings have you rolled out for them? How has that gone? How much repeat business have you got? If you've not done any of that, don't be afraid of going in there, because you've got just as much right to start pitching to corporates, even if you've not worked with one, as the next person who may have worked with 100 corporates. Because as long as you've got a product or service that's going to solve their problem and make their life better, they want to know of you, about you, and what you can do. But be very focused on the results. They will challenge you on the results. They will ask you about the results. They will ask you about the numbers, the finances, marketing stuff. They're going to ask you about what was the cost of the campaign, what was the ROMI. They're going to ask you all those questions, so you're going to have to know them, and you're going to have to be able to eloquently discuss those with anybody who wants to have that conversation with you. So to recap those sort of 5 things, why corporates want you, you're creative problem solvers. You are able to be agile and flexible and adaptable, way more easy than a larger business. You can do the personal touches, you can have that personality, you can be different, you can stand out. It's absolutely okay. You have got those fresh perspectives from other industries that you can take in and share, and hopefully give them some comfort and some context around why you think it would work for them. And finally, results, like they're into results. So the more that you can show them what you do works and how you've done it for other people, then they're going to want to sit up and take notice. So that's it for this week. I hope that's helped. Any questions, any comments, pop them in. I do look at them regularly. All the links into where you can find out all the work that I do, how to join my free group, which is being housed over on another platform, where if you are corporate curious and you do want to know more and you want some actionable insights and tips, you can come over and join the B2B club, and I will drop in there monthly with a theme. I set you a weekly task, and then every month we have a Q&A session, so you can get all your questions in there and you can start to learn and take those first baby steps into working with corporates in 2025. That's it for this week. I'll be back next Monday with another video. Have a great week. Bye for now.